Welcome to another episode of The Jasmine Tea, where we give you piping hot commentary on your favorite blackity black shows. I'm your host, Jasmine, and today I'll be recapping Euphoria Season 3, episode. Whoops. I'm your host, Jasmine, and today I'll be recapping Euphoria Season 2, episode 3. So, I'm your host, Jasmine, and today I'll be giving you 3 piping hot moments from Euphoria Season 2, Episode 3. First up, we have Cal's childhood. First up, we get a nice flashback to see Cal's childhood. We get to see teenage Cal living his life, doing his thing throughout high school. But one of the focal points of this flashback was his best friend, Derek. So these two guys are like buddy buddy. They're killing it on the wrestling mats. They're killing it when it comes to women, dating, and exploring together. But you can see this like underlying vibe throughout their interactions the entire time. And so as the flashback progresses, by the end of it, we see Derek shoot his shot. He takes Cal to a gay bar and the two of them end up kissing. And it was just a nice little fuzzy moment. You know, we got to see Cal be less aggressive and more of a human side. And so while he and Derek were like exploring their sexuality together, he also had his girlfriend, Miranda. Hold on. Cal also had a girlfriend named Marsha. Now, Marsha was the one that really put that thing on him and turned him out, per se. Marsha was lots of fun in the sheets, and by the end of the flashback, we see her calling in after his. We see her call Cal after his lovely night with Derek and tell him that, oops, she's pregnant. Now we know that baby is the evil Nate Jacobs, but I will give Cal a shout out in that moment. He handled it pretty as well can be for a teenager finding out, you know, he's about to be a dad. He didn't say anything negative. He didn't like tell her to get an abortion or anything. He actually tried to be, you know, pretty supportive. It was a little dry, but that's okay. And it wasn't until he hung up the phone that he was like reacting like, oh shit, you know, boo-hoo, wah-wah. You're about to be a daddy now. But I mean, he did stick with Marsha. They're married now. So hopefully that pop and fizzle they had when they initially got together is still holding on and being true. And he's just not with her because of Nate. He is cheating. So I don't know how much truth is in that. But Cal was a pretty decent teenager. Piping hot moment number 2. Rue decides to become a drug dealer. Now, y'all, we already know Rue is like barely here with us, even when she's present. And at the beginning of the season, we saw her dragging around this suitcase, and everybody's like, "What in the world is in this suitcase? Why is she carrying it with her on a bike? She's carrying it with her into meetings. What's going on here?" So Rue is sitting in her room one day and runs out of drugs, and she comes up with this brilliant idea that, you know, it would be really great if I could do drugs for free. So, thus, she feels like I should become a drug dealer. She goes to Fez and tries to pitch a plan, and he's like, girl, hell to the no. Like, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. So she's like, okay, cool, and goes over his head and talks to Lori, who is their new supplier. Because remember, Ashtray killed Mouse, took him out the game with that hammer. And so Lori listens to her pitch and she buys into it. Rue's idea is to have some of her classmates help her push the drugs because they're all nice, lovely grade A students and nobody will suspect them. Lori's with it and she fronts Rue $10,000 worth of drugs. And so that is what is in the suitcase that Rue is now protecting with her little fragile life and carrying around. And we'll see how it goes. Lori straight up tells her, if you screw me over, I will hand you over to people who will do horrible things to you. So, I mean, Rue look a little shook because remember, her motivation is really just to have drugs for free. But we'll see how it goes and if she can really pull a bit of her life together and become this badass businesswoman and maybe give Fez some competition. Now, also in the name of Rue, since we're talking about her, she also pitched her drug dealer idea to Elliot, who we remember last time, as her new potential flaming thing. And he liked the idea. He told her it was a great idea. That's what kind of gave her the motivation to go and talk to Lori. But we also see Elliot in this episode squeeze up and get closer to Jules. Now, initially, Jules was feeling some type of way because she could tell that Rue and Elliot liked each other. But in this episode, she and Elliot start to form some type of relationship. It's not romantic yet, but it is, budding it is budding friendship. They got some flirtation going on. They're spending time together without Rue. That's a little, that's not sitting well in my spirit, but okay. So Elliot does admit that he does like Rue. He admits that he would sleep with Rue, but he also tells Jules that she's fucking hot as well. So Jules is enjoying the compliments. We'll see how that goes. In the beginning I was thinking like, man, I really don't Rue in the beginning, I was thinking like, man, I really don't want Rue to cheat on Jules. But now I feel like Jules might end up cheating on Rue, okay? Because Jules and Elliot, they just kind of feel like a different type of vibe. Like, they kind of like bicker at each other, but you can tell they really like each other. So we'll see. We'll see. But somebody's sleeping with Elliot. Perhaps it'll be both of them. I don't know. But Elliot is going to be getting somebody's goods, okay? Piping hot moment number 3. Lexi, our girl Lexi, has started her own play. And it is modeled. Our girl Lexi is putting on her own play. It's called This is the Life, or at least that's what she named it in her head when she was thinking about it. But basically, it is a reflection of her own life. But basically, she's reflecting her life, out on paper instead of just keeping it all in her head. Because she really kind of hates her life. She doesn't like her parents arguing all the time. She thinks her sister is like too hot to trot and always running around looking like a skank. And she chooses to express that artistically by writing it out, coming up with a script, and getting permission to put on the show. We do see a funny moment where Cassie is like dressed like a country bumpkin in the bathroom, and that's how she ends up learning about the play. We do see a funny moment where Cassie's dressed like a country bumpkin in the bathroom, and they talk about the play Oklahoma. I've never seen it. I don't think we really need that moment. So we do see a funny moment where Cassie comes into the bathroom dressed like a complete country bumpkin because she's trying to get Nate's attention. But that's how she ends up learning about Lexi's play. So I'm sure we'll get to see the play acted out live in show sometime this season. But speaking of Cassie and Nate, we also see Cassie like completely obsess and dive into this relationship with Nate in this episode. Sis is waking up at 4 a.m. Scrubbing her skin damn near off the bone. She is taking meticulous time to pick out her outfits. One day she ends up coming in there dressed like Lexi. That also happens to be the only day Nate actually gives her a seemingly morsel of attention. They're still getting it in every Friday. Maddie hasn't found out yet. We all know she's going to at some point. At the end of the episode, we also see Maddie end up at the end of the episode, we also see Nate show up at Maddie's house with flowers. Now, I think he's just there because Cal knows about the tape now. Cal knows about the video that Maddie has of him having sex with Jules. And Nate is just there on his dad's behalf to finesse Maddie into getting that tape back. Or to at least finesse his way into finding out where the tape is so he can steal it. But I do not think that he really wants Maddie like she thinks he does. Of course he's going to smash. Of course he's going to get the goods. But I think his brain is more so wrapped up in Cassie. Like he would prefer to be over there with her if he could do so peacefully. And also just an honorable mention moment and ending on the highest note that I believe we should with our boy Ashtray bashing the heck out of Cal with his shotgun. So Cal decided that he was going to lurk on Nate and Ashtray since, remember, he's a concerned father and wants to know why Fez Did I say Fez? So Cal decides that he was going to lurk outside of Fez and Ashtray's house because remember, he's just a concerned father and wants to know why Fez beat up Nate. Of course, our boy Ashtray sees him, goes outside, bashes him in the head, brings him inside, and continues to beat the heck out of him until he answers his questions accordingly. Why are you here? What do you want? You think you finna just walk up out of here all nice and calm and cool? No. So they interrogate Nate. He spills the beans and lets them know that he's just here for the tape. Of course, Fez is like, bruh, what tape? I ain't got nothing to do with that. And by the end, Fez does convince Ashtray to let him go, but not before Cal agrees to leave. Not before Cal agrees to leave Rue, Jules, Ashtray, and Fez the fuck alone. Like, go out there and do whatever little freaky things you're gonna do. Just leave us alone over here. Also, a tiny honorable mention to Faye because she was just funny this episode. Okay, last time she was annoying. She's just always around, and I really want her to disappear whenever Lexi is around Fez because I need their relationship to just blossom. But this time she was hilarious because she basically asked Cal, like, so you and your son just be, doing things together? Like, y'all just be sleeping with everybody? And it was just hilarious. Like, she's always in some, like, high state and just really incoherent. But this time, she and her big lips were a comedic relief that I enjoyed. So that's going to wrap up today's episode. Remember to follow me on TikTok at the Jasmine T up here on top for a quicker recap. You can follow me on social media personally at the Jasmine T down here on the bottom. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel so you can keep getting these recaps in your ear as quickly as possible. See you next time.